I save it. Yes, so basically today we came together. There are not so many people taking this call today because we rescheduled it. But I think the topic is co-living for families because it's not only about nomads, it's also about families. And I can just tell you like how to start, like my experience about family co-living or what I heard. So we received, in fact, some inquiries of families who wanted to come and stay in our co-living place. But they had really specific requirements, and it was really hard to meet those requirements. For example, they said, hey, we need a common place, a common space where the kids can play and meet. And we didn't have this. So we had the social area, we had two work areas, but no space for the kids. So it was not suitable for kids. And then also, like, we got questions when we were operating a co-working space here in Malta, a huge one. Hey, what about childcare? Can you take care of this? And then we were also talking with like a couple from Germany who is organizing retreats for families, and we spoke about the special requirements. But this was already 2 years ago. So I'm really thrilled to hear about your experience and yeah, why you are into this. Like, why are you interested in this? Denise, you can start because, yeah.
All right. Basically, I was traveling alone for about 14, 15 years. So I was traveling for 6 months, then traveling for 10 months, then, like that, all alone. And now I have a child. So I don't want to stop that lifestyle because I think it was beneficial for me. So it will be beneficial for the child. And it's beneficial because that's where I'm at my happiest as well. So it can give the best mother that it can give to a child. No, so I said, I don't see, as long as it's in a safe place, I absolutely think there were places that I wouldn't take my child now, no. But I mean, in those 14, 15 years that I did it alone, I know now I can leverage where it was safe and where it wasn't, and I would take him back. I went with him to Mexico, Cuba, and Nepal already in 2 years, no. So I can see some people think it's not safe, but I think it's absolutely safe, and it's absolutely beautiful if you find people who have the same mindset, who travel from either remotely or they're freelancers and are also parents, so that these children can actually travel while the parent can make a living. And there's all the benefits that come with that, especially if they meet other children of other families. So because they will be the minority, especially well in cultures like mine in Malta, they are the minority. Those children, you're 3, you go into school until you're 16. No options. The only option is which school you're going to. But then I know that there's a whole planet, and I'm like, why should he miss this planet for 13 years? I don't want him to miss an education, but at the same time, so I think it's super beneficial, and I think there are families. Ingrid knows a bit more about this, I think. I haven't met many, but I think there is a market for it, but we need to know how to find them, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, the reason why I got interested in it is because now I have a baby and I don't want to stop traveling, and I think it benefits him.
So you are basically on both sides. You are at the side of someone who would like to live that life in a specific place, but maybe it's not existing yet.
Yes, well, my idea is to be nomadic. So my idea is not to have one house in one place and I always bring people there. My idea is to have retreats, like in the beginning, maybe a month in Colombia, a month in Mexico, a month in Nepal, a month here. There's Spain as well that I had thought, another place I lived in, a small island. So
maybe a month in Punta La Barca also.
Oh yes, I told her I'm going. I love like what I've seen from that place. You work and you see a whale. I want that. I told her whatever happens from this meeting, I'm gonna go to Ecuador and see this place. Barca is amazing. So yes, try Ecuador and try a lot of places, and then so I don't, because my idea is not to make a co-living space and stay in that place. It's to still keep on moving. So maybe, yeah, try a bit here and there, and maybe if I decide to stop in a place for 3 years, then that would be a short term, long term.
So maybe like the setup of the current co-livings are not uh, done for families or for kids. I have the feeling because most of the co-living sorry because most of the co-living are like for young girls, and there is nothing for kids. And so I guess actually there isn't a lot of co-livings dedicated for families.
Yeah, and there's like a party in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's full of alcohol, and it's fine. I used to do that, you know, but I don't want my child to be in the place where I'm working and where I so I like the party, but outside of the place, you know, if you know what I mean. And we could go there, but the actual co-living there is right now, it's probably a party for single people. And that's why Inga's gonna speak now, because I took and I said, but I saw Inga's page, and I told her she gets exactly what it is like, because she has 3 sections. She has nomadic solo travelers, nomadic couples, and nomadic families, because they are completely 3 different markets, and you need to know what they will need. So yeah,
exactly.
she's doing it. So that's super cool.
Inge, tell us, why did you get started in the first place? Why?
Yeah, so me, I guess like 7 years ago, I was also traveling mostly, and also remote working without kids still 7 years ago. Then somehow I ended up in Ecuador. I totally fell in love with the country, with the guy also. We had some kids, and we started to build our house. And at first it was it was just like our house, and thinking, oh, let's invite some other nomads to create some community and live together like this. No, we didn't really think of it as a business or things like this. We thought it was easy to to make a co-living like this.
Yeah.
And I think we did this like for maybe 2-3 years, and it was always very nice. We had like a small community, I think on average like 4 or 5 nomads, something like this. But we lose a lot of money with it, because we didn't take it seriously, and we always had to put money in it, because yeah, if you don't take it seriously, it's yeah, in the end we always it's not sustainable in this way. We had to take it more seriously, because otherwise it was not sustainable. But it was very nice. We always we always had a very good time with the community, and we are very sure that we want to go on with this. And in the meantime, we also had kids. So now we have 2 kids. So we were already seeing that it's actually really no problem at our place. It is really no problem to live together with nomads and with kids, because we have a very outdoor space. We have a lot of outdoor space, and also we make like one area which is dedicated especially to the kids. So automatically the kids, they go there to play, and then we have one area which is for concentrated work only. So the kids are not allowed to go there. So like this, it works very good. We always saw with our own kids. So it was, and then in the same period also we started to get inquiries from nomads with kids, like you had, Daniel. For us, it was not as much the kid space that we lack, but we lack a house. We only have like a room for 1 or maximum 2 persons. So with kids, it's a bit more difficult. so we lack space for them. But then like a year, 2 years ago, when we started also really focusing more on the co-living and on the nomads, we also started focusing more on the families, and we agreed with houses from the village who are very close to us. so they can house the families and they can come here to work and to play and to cook with us, and actually totally the same, only that the house is not from us, but totally incorporated inside Punta La Barca.
But what is the story
So
of
we
the
started
families?
doing.
Oh, sorry. So, but what is the story of the families who decide to travel? Like, what is their motivation or their background? Or they all coming from the same background? Or
I guess like every digital nomad is very different. Digital nomad family is even more different. every single one. I think there is a lot of them are Americans who, it's like in North America there is a more big culture of homeschooling. So it is more normal that the wife stays home with the kids and the guy has a job. And when the guy earns enough money, then there became like this culture of Worldschooling, which is basically still homeschooling, but you just take your kids everywhere you go. So so they go
that's a
around,
perfect.
travel with the kids. The guy works and the woman stays with the children. That's like a bit the most North American way. Not all North Americans, of course, but there is like a big community of these kind of people. And then what we had a lot here also is people who take like a year off with their family. They take their kids out of school for 1 year and go travel. A lot of time they travel in a camper van, or they travel very cheaply mostly, no? And since we do camping as well here, it's very easy to accommodate for them as well.
An issue
so you have people who take like a year off with their kids. Then you have unschoolers, which is a very nice philosophy that I totally agree with now. It's basically that you don't see school as something necessary. You see life as the school of learning for your kids as well. So basically you go along. Of course, most of these people have some kind of location independent work. They work online, or maybe also I have seen doctors who would offer their services in every village that they go. Or I have seen there are artists who would go around and paint murals and do it like this. But they have a very a very freedom lifestyle, and but the kids as well. So like, while a lot of North American families, they would look for like an international school or some kind of school to put their kid in for 3 or 6 months. These people would just have their kids always with them and go travel around like this. Yeah, I think it's like you have, and then you have, of course, like Denise, like people who have been the last year nomading and now they have a kid and they want to keep on doing the same thing.
And I guess the education is a big question.
This is what I just wanted to say, because out of a sudden, Loic, you have co-working, you have co-living, and you have co-education.
I think, and that's also the difficult thing maybe about this thing. It's there are a lot of alternatives to education. I'm very surprised what I learned already in the 5 years that I have kids now about educating kids. But there are so many alternatives to the normal go to school for 16 years kind of way. And I really like all of these alternatives. You have, everything has its own name. You have unschooling, you have online schooling, you have homeschooling, you have I don't know. There are a lot of names, but in the end, what did I want to say? Sorry, I lost my. How do you say?
The types of people you were saying, the types of nomad family.
Yeah, a lot of kinds of schooling.
And
I lost a bit my point.
Denise, you wanted to
there
add
are a lot
something?
of, like, inside the Worldschooling community. It's like a community. It's pretty, like, on Facebook. It has a lot of followers like this in the group. It's very active as well, the Worldschooling community. And I see that the last year there are like a lot of people who want to start initiatives like this, but it's mostly wanting to start still. No, there's not a lot out there at all. But
So do you think, Inge, the problem of remote education is solved? Or is this something which also needs to be tackled in the future?
I think the remote education, there are a lot of options already for remote education. For me, more than enough. I don't have any desire to try to. I think it's mostly inside the head of a lot of persons, because it's so normal to send your kid to school, and it's so unnormal to not do this.
Yeah.
That the person himself has to, like, be able to change their mind. I mean, to be able to see these possibilities, because a lot of people would think this is not good for my kid or things like this.
And it's very personal.
And this is also a thing that makes it maybe more difficult to.
I think every parent and every child has a dynamic. So even if you have kids, you see that the dynamic with your first child is different from the dynamic with the second child, because there's your character and the character of the child. And that's just the mother and the child. And imagine if the father and the school and your mindset and what the child needs. So it's very personal as well. You cannot do one size fits all on education. Absolutely not.
Yeah. You can't even say, like, for my own kids as well. If you ask me, will your kids go to school? I don't know. No, at this moment that I see my oldest is 5, my youngest is 3, I have no desire at all to send them to school. They are perfectly like this. But what do I know when they are 10 years old? What do I know? How they will feel, how they will be in the community, how they will learn. I can't know. Every child is different. Every situation is different. So,
and that's why we cannot provide it for them. They just need every nomadic family that comes, they have to choose for them. And then if they tell us, listen, I would like a local school, then you help them with the local school. I would like more internet strength because they're doing online, and you say, okay, I give you more internet. I don't know, like, so that we're gonna.
Yeah, I think, like,
prepare 100 and there will be one.
What happens? Yeah, voila. I think what happens now a lot is people trying to start like communities like this, but very focused inside one kind of learning. Like, for example, there would be a community starting especially for people who are homeschooling or who are unschooling their kids, or especially for people who are sending their kids to this school that is close to this community. Or so it's often very focused. And it's kind of hard to make I'm still figuring this out as well, no? To know if focusing on one or not, because me, I love all people, and I don't care if you send your kids to a fancy international school or you keep them at home. For me, both is perfect. I don't care. But then it's hard to offer all these options. It's hard to have and a Montessori school and an international school and work together with the World School. The World School, it's an online initiative. It's one of the best initiatives around, I think, at the moment, which is like an online educational program. Where kids also connect with same kind of kids who also are traveling a lot and things like this, and also like do meetups as well. So there is a lot of initiatives, but it's hard to know if, I don't know still, if you to focus or to choose or to offer everything, which is impossible, I think.
I think if, like, once you decide, Inge, because you have your place in Ecuador and you decide that for your children you want this, you cater for that so that your children have what you want. And then if people that come like that, they can join. And then if people don't like that, you help them find what they want, no? But it's just this thing, I think, because you cannot, I mean, it's very complicated. In fact, there's this guy, he's called, my God, and he's one of my favorite people in the world, but I forgot his name. Anyway, he's Brazilian, and he has the school called Lumiar, because he had started with this idea of working outside an office. He said, why do we need a big building? I'll send you the TED talk. Like he did a TED talk. And I loved him before I had my child. But what he did was that he just gives freedom to his workers. So if he tells them create 10 somethings in a week, if you finish on Tuesday, go to the beach. You know, like don't ask me what you are going to do. So he's very liberal like that. And they did a school like that as well. So when I had my child, I said I wanted the school. It's a mosaic of 700 pieces of mosaic, and then you can do any mosaic. The child of 5 and the child of 17 can do the same one if they're both interested in building a wheel to learn pi 3.142. Then the 5-year-old and the 15-year-old can do it together. And the person who will teach them how to build the wheel is an old person from the village, you know, because they're the retired people that have so much knowledge and that society is not using. So I love his idea. So I contacted him when I had my child to try, but then there was so much money involved. I was like, maybe in another life, you know. So there's a lot of things, and it's personal about everyone, and that's why we cannot cater for them. It's just whoever wants something a lot, and they know that when they travel, they cannot have, you know, like they know they have to do a lot of things by themselves.
Getting back to co-livings, I have a question, because like I don't have a kid and I'm just a nomad, single but without kid. But I have a question, like when you are a nomad family, or like when you have kids, is there like some websites or is there some Facebook groups where you can find co-livings dedicated for families? Or is it hard to find places for nomad families?
I found it very hard to find the co-living spaces. Absolutely hard. And even when
I think it's very hard.
when I created it, I didn't know where to share it.
Yeah,
So
and I think also the difficulty is that there is like a difference. There is co-livings and there is also community livings, and there is a lot of small community livings in the world, but with different niche, like, or education, like you said, Inger, like with specific stuff, or like, you know, artist community living or EP community living, which are not necessarily co-livings.
Yeah, and the thing, you know what I found as well, I tried to do this, and one of the responses was, of course, these people, when you're a nomad and you're alone and you're traveling, you want this community, you crave this community, you know, so you would be happy to pay a bit to have the community of people that are the same. But the family, they are careful about money as well a lot of the time. So to me, he told me, why should I pay you this much when I know that in that same village I can pay a house?
Yeah.
For much cheaper. And I said, okay, because you're paying, because we share a babysitter, the kids have each other, they wake up, they're together, they go to sleep, and you know, so it was the idea of the community. But for them it was too expensive, because they said, why should I pay, I don't know, 500 when I can get a house for 300, you know? So
maybe I can add something here. So like Loic and me, we are software developers, don't have kids, but at one time in life we will have kids. And the thing is, I also support the idea to not to send the kid to a school, but rather surrounded by people who figured something out in life and have a nice input on this kid. Now the thing is, it feels pretty extreme to do this. So if you would live in France or Germany and you say, hey, you know what, I want to travel the world, and I don't want to send my kid to schools, but rather I would surround it with awesome people. This feels super extreme, because there is no, like, there are no options out there. And I would like to see this just like growing. So that's like an alternative to the traditional way. So it's not that extreme anymore.
I think I totally agree. I think that it is that it feels very extreme, because to me as well, I am super convinced. But now, just when you say this, I realize, this is going to be on YouTube, and I have never, not to my parents, not to my friends, told me about my vision. So now I am like, okay.
Yeah, like if you tell this to the normal people, they are like, what is wrong with you, you know? But
yeah,
so,
and sometimes it's a bit conservative, I guess, also for Maltese families and for Maltese
I
people.
think it's illegal not to send your child to school. You have to
yeah.
like
Yeah.
inform the government what you're doing, and like homeschooling just became legal 3-4 years ago, I think. But still, the homeschooling has to be done by someone with a degree in teaching. So
Yeah.
that's
But
back to
there
the
are initiatives that you can do so you are in, how do you say, you are okay with the law. Like they are, for example, there is a school, an unschooling school in USA, and you can inscribe in the school, and it's like a yearly fee. I don't know, maybe $200. It's not too much, and they don't do nothing. No, they just give you the certification that you have passed the year, and this counts in a lot of countries. They accept this certification. So, but they do talk with you to know if you really understand the concept of unschooling and everything like this. So they support you that you are qualified to unschool your kids, something like this.
Yeah.
So
I
I
have,
think like initiatives like this, they are out there, but they are very unaccepted socially still. I think like right now, it is very accepted until 6 years
Mm.
to take your kids traveling, and it's I see a lot of people doing it, and for me also it's not that hard to not send my kids to kindergarten or something like this. But then I know like my oldest now is nearly 6, and now the questions start coming from people. No, what will you do with your kid? And yeah,
yeah, and
I think
homeschooling
still
has limits at some point also.
Yes, that's why I homeschooling, it depends who the tutor is, because in the beginning I used to think, okay, like I speak languages, I can control basic maths. So I always thought if I have children, I can teach them basic maths and I can teach them the languages, and that will be okay until 5. And then 5, 6, we see what to do about school, no? But now that I have my 2-year-old, I'm like, does this little boy has to see me as the mommy in the morning, the teacher in the afternoon, the play friend in the evening, and then like it's one person. And even for the child to understand focus, now it's learning time, like if you're unschooling and they're just learning because
Mm.
I mean, they learn from everything. They just see the water dripping and they're learning. So, of course, if you're just doing it like that, but if you're introducing some kind of curriculum in there, it's confusing for the child to understand. Now, this is not mommy, this is my tutor. So again, there's homeschooling with tutors. But then it would expand later if the child is 10 years old, he's into skateboarding, and you take him to the skateboard factory to learn how to make the skateboard. But when they're little and you're teaching alphabet, it's different. So it's, as we said, there's so many.
Yeah, I think for every if I hear like this as well, I think it's always like for us as well, for as a co-living for families, we haven't until now, we have not like officially organized something like in the noon we do babysitting or we do an activity with the kids. We have not organized. We have always just let it free, and the kids start playing with each other automatically, no? But still, I think it is very useful for everybody to do organize something, because then also the parents, they can know, no, my kids are in somebody else's hands. No, I can.
You don't have a
And
child.
so I think I think we will start doing this. Like we have tried.
I have a question.
What did you say? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you have someone that takes care of the children? So if they say they want a babysitter,
Yeah.
3 to 4.
Yeah, voila, this, yes.
Okay.
But we haven't like done like, how do you say? Yeah, this, yes, if people want. But I have to say that until now, nearly nobody has asked for a babysitter.
I have a question.
I had one time I had a question for a babysitter only 2 days, but
I have a question for you. I would like your input, David, because like we have a quiet European vision about this, and I would like to have your feedback about education and schooling in Nairobi. Like, is there a lot of people sending kids at school, or is there people is there any homeschooling?
Like the environment here is pretty much I can say traditional. Like when your child reaches a certain age, let's say 3 years or 4 years, you definitely have to take the child to school. That's like a no-brainer. Although there are no like written rules by the government, like you have to take a child to school, or you have to homeschool your kids, or you have to take a child to these and these. Like it's just let's say, how I can put it is society mandates or dictates, yeah, in such a not so written way that you have to take your child to school. Like I'm really silent right now because whatever I'm learning or whatever I'm hearing is like quite mind blowing to me. Because even with how I was raised, is I was lucky enough to like after I was born, I've done public. I've not done public school. I think my whole life. I've done private school my whole life. Yeah, up to campus. So you can imagine how trying to change let's say a family like mine, especially my dad who's like really serious with education and all, at the executive kind, like you have to go to school, you have to do this, you have to get a job. That's my dad.
Yeah, but
Like
that's super interesting because like it shows the difference, the cultural difference that, you know, like for example, if we take 10 family in your countries and we ask them about private school, public school, homeschooling, unschooling, they would say like, no way, like my kid will go to school and he will have nice education, and even a private school, it's better, and he will do a lot of studies.
yeah,
And that's why it's interesting.
yeah, it's really interesting because up to right now, my dad, I think like a month ago, we had a call. I had a call with him. We talked just family stuff, and then he asked me like, "When are you going to get a job?" I'm like, "I have a job." Like my clients are all over the globe. Like I have a job. I personally have a job. So like his way or his idea of having a job is you have to wear a suit. You have to go to work, like you have to have a fixed premises where you go to work. And like I think I got tired about a week like an year ago, because this is my third year being a digital nomad. Like I'm quite young, I'm quite new to the game. So this is like my third year, and I've been, let's say, fortunate to travel. So I think he sees I have work, but whatever I make for him is I just splash it all in my travels and in my accommodation. Like I have no future for my life or something. Like the mindset he has is with the business I'm building to scale something that's sustainable. Although it's virtual, I'm building something sustainable, something scalable up to my 60s, 70s years, like something that will basically take me through my life. To him, I'll start living or I'll start getting serious with life when I get a job. Like when I go to an office, when I settle down, that's him. So with the idea of having digital nomad families, I'm learning. Let's say I'm learning. Like this is the first time I've ever had this discussion. Like I'm learning because this is like quite new. Like with the whole digital nomads that come to, let's say, Nairobi or something, people just come here for tourist things and all. Like just safaris, just seeing the lay of the land, like with the whole ignorance that revolves around Africa. So I'm trying to change the narrative around here because apart from the digital nomad family, just yesterday at night, I was looking at if there are communities or groups or let's say just pictures where I can engage in, just start a conversation, spark a conversation like, hey, with this cool community, we're starting up in Nairobi, like, would you be interested, or would you just start like a casual conversation with people just to see if I can grow the tribe here? And I tell you, like, it's really hard. Like, there's no community here. There's like the way you like you go to, let's say, hashtag digital nomad lifestyle, you see all these European travelers, all these Western travelers, let's say North American, South American, and then living the freedom lifestyle while we working or having that community. Like in Nairobi, I can tell you it's nada, zleach, zero.
Yeah,
Like,
so I guess for now the time is to educate people about the remote
yeah,
working and the digital nomad lifestyle, maybe, and nomad families will come, I guess, maybe in 10 or 20 years.
yeah, yeah. That's for Nairobi, for the families and all. I would not be like really optimistic right now. That would be like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10
Maybe
years down.
even more. Like honestly, like even in progressive countries, I don't know what a progressive country is. But like Germany is not a progressive country, but still there, like if you would say I want to homeschool my kid, they are like, you are crazy. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, true. It's here.
So yeah, let's
No,
see.
I think what.
Yeah?
Sorry.
Sorry,
Tell.
Inga, go.
Yeah. No, what I wanted to say is that I think that what is accepted is the young kids, and is taking your kids like 1 year out of school to give them a life experience. Like this is quite accepted, and a lot of people. I mean, a lot. There are enough people to do it to organize co-live co-work for these families.
Yeah.
I would say.
Okay, so I think soon we should wrap it up. I just want to say one thing. Yeah, so basically now I'm 30 years old and I got to know some mentors or people who wanted to help me with facilitating CoCoHub, this digital nomad thing. And they are quite successful people, not only money-wise, but also life-wise. And I saw how it influenced myself. Just going out for dinner with the people, talking with them and getting a part of their reality. And I just think now I'm 30 years old and it changed me just going out 10 times with this person. So if you're now a kid and you're surrounded constantly by those people who, I don't know, just broke free 20 years ago, I have no idea. I think it will influence you like crazy as a young human. And you're no longer led by fear, or because this is how they raise children right now, through fear and pressure. And I think if you are surrounded by the right people, it will change your mind for the rest of your life. And I think this is why it is so valuable to push this. Not only like self-centered, hey, I don't want to take care of the kid, it's too much responsibility, maybe I put it in the community, because this is also sometimes what I heard, you know, that we take as a group care of the people, of the kids. But yeah, the fact that you can surround your kids with nice, crazy, awesome people, this is what I'm so thrilled
Sane
about.
people. We're crazy for society, but we're sane. Okay, now I just said this on YouTube. Sorry.
Yeah. And this is what fascinates me, because this is far more valuable than the best education at Stanford or MIT. And you can't buy this. You can't buy this.
And something also which is interesting is that we saw the last years a big growth in this, like a trend in this nomadic remote working stuff, like lifestyle, co-livings. And I'm quite new, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I started my journey into nomadism. But I saw that like there had also women entrepreneurs, like empowerment, like a lot of leaders, like women empowering other women to start the nomad lifestyle. And I think like that's the trend of the next years, like in 2 years or 3 years, there will be leaders of nomad families, co-living, and this kind of education. And at the same time, I think the way of traveling will change with what the situation we are facing right now. And like it's super interesting to get to know how it will go in the next years about that.
The question, Loic, is also how to make it sustainable.
Yeah.
Because if you always have co-living companies who offer the service, this is not sustainable, because you can't live in this setup for 10 years. It needs to be something more natural, and how to enable this. That's also the
Yes,
big
I find
challenge.
this super interesting. Yeah, I find this a very big challenge, and I think also that the communities that I see rising like this, like the initiatives with, especially the ones with the kids, that I see rising. Like in the beginning, they would start more like a co-living, but in the end, a lot of them would like turn into a community that stays put, and yeah, and more into like an intentional community they would turn into.
So maybe in the future, for example, a commercial co-living provider in a city could be the entry point into a community, and after 2 or 3 months you move into a house which is cheaper. This could be a way, because then you have access to the community if you go to another place. I have no idea, but
yeah, no, it's a good way of thinking, I think. Yeah.
Like I just want to ask, like if someone is watching the video on YouTube and wants to ask you question about nomad co-livings or nomad families or about education of kids, unschooling and stuff, where people can find you, Denise and Inge.
Okay, so my company is called Coco Plus. It's on Facebook. We can put the link later on. But mine is more about retreats, like, so a month here. So April this year will be here. September this year will be here. While Inga's is full-time, and Inga's, yours is?
I'll definitely like to an co-live, like just for the experience part of it and for the learning part of it. Just the way most of my co-living or co-working has been with single digital nomads or remote workers. So I have to just get the feeling of the experience of living in a place with a family, and like most of the co-living, people throw rages, like, but now you can't throw a rager. Like, you have to be respectful because of the family. Like, you can't drink around the place. You have to do it outside the premises. So I'd like to experience that. And then I had a question before we wrap up. How old are the kids when they like begin to travel? Like, how old did you start traveling with yours, Denise? Like, I get between like when the baby is born to like when the baby starts walking, maybe 10 months, 11 months, it's like quite hectic. Like, you have to like be there for the kid, and like that's the growing stages. How do you deal with that, or how do digital families deal with that?
I think it's the easiest part when they're small and they cannot run around and they don't try to jump off cliffs. That's the easiest part. It's a baby. You have a she or a he, and there's a baby. You wrap them around you, a bag on your back, and you go. Then when they start
what about when you're working?
Pardon?
What about when you're working? Like when you have to like dedicate 5 hours to focused work?
I always find someone, but it was always like someone
You live
I know.
in community.
Yes,
you live in community.
Helps you. Yes, the community keeps the baby. No, exactly. The community keeps the baby going.
Yeah.
So in this time,
for a solo nomad, a community is something nice to have. You can, a community is nice, but you don't need it. You can live 2 months on your own in your room, and you will be totally fine. But for a family, you need it. Your kids will go nuts if they have nobody to play with, and you will go nuts because your kids go nuts. So it's not an option anymore.
Point, yeah, that's an important point. It's true.
It's like the saying, you need a village to raise a child, and it's really true. You need a village to raise a child. It is not an option anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Wow.
Okay, so I guess like if you are a mom and you have question about this, like just contact Denise or Inge. And I know that a lot of friends of me will be really interested into this. Yeah. Because more and more people are speaking about this kind of subjects.
Yeah. So like next week we're having like a faster, let's say, small meetup with a co-working space. I think Daniel knows about it. So I'd be really curious to know their stand on this. Like I'll make them, or I'll request them to watch this meeting on YouTube before we meet. I'd like to know their whole stance on the digital nomad.
If Inga puts the link to her Punta La Barca, you'll see a lot. You start understanding a lot because she has her video, and so it's very interesting to see how it works and what to provide and what the families might ask for, because she completely understands it.
Yeah,
It's just,
I wouldn't say completely, yeah, but
for me, she understands.
Okay.
She understands much more than I. She's 3 steps ahead. Her child is 3 years older, so she's 3 years ahead.
Yeah. Denise, let's do the first family retreat in Gozo in autumn, in October, no?
November, well, COVID permitting, I'd be
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
for it. Absolutely.
What is
up for it.
Kozo?
Okay,
Gozo
so
is a little island.
Gozo is smaller. We are 3 small islands, Malta, Gozo, Comino. Comino, you walk it in 1 day. Like in 5 hours, you cross from one side to side. Gozo is a
Yeah.
bit bigger. So it's a rural, more or less a rural island. So it's Gozo is a nice one. We'll put a link to that as well. But the south of
Yeah.
Malta is good.
There are only 35,000 people living there, and it's picking up because there are retreats held in regards to health, yoga. It's just not on the map, but it's a really peaceful little island.
Cool.
Mhm.
I just want to add as well that at the moment we are doing this in Ecuador, but I am really interested in whoever wants to create the same kind of thing in Belgium, which is my home country, and I always travel between the two, and always when I am in Belgium, I miss this. So I would love to create the same kind of thing in Belgium.
I'm starting to think of a friend that might be interested. I'll contact her after this, and I will let you know.
Very good.
This thing keeps rolling. The snowball started, and now it keeps rolling.
Yeah.
This is also exactly what I did, not with family co-living, but I was now in the COVID times in Germany and in a city 100,000 people, and there is just no co-working space and no place for like-minded people to meet. So with CoCoHub, we can do this, like to create an environment where I would like to live. Interesting.
So you would have CoCoHub in Malta and CoCoHub in Germany, maybe?
Yeah, in one, or like Nairobi. So
yes. Like a CoCoHub worldwide. Nice. I like the
to create the future we want to live in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been like a most learning space or environment I've done the whole day. Leave alone just reading a book.
Yeah.
I was like really interesting.
Not to take away from Inge, but it's not Inge or me. It's our children that taught us this, and that is why me and Inge are thinking like this. So we have to thank the children, I think.
Oh, so beautiful.
And we still need to see we are really on the forefront of things. It's not like that a lot of publications are there in the internet about family co-living. We are just at the forefront, and we can still define how it should look like.
Yeah. I also want to add that I really believe in this. I really believe that it's like especially, I mean, I believe a lot in it just for for nomads and for couples and whatever, but for families even more because it is so for me it is so beneficial to see to in the morning you get up or you even don't get up, but the kids already go and they play with other kids and they are doing whatever learning experience they might have, and they are meeting so many different people and so many different cultures, and I think this could be such a beneficial way to live, to like on top of our now normal Western way of living.
That's what I was thinking when people were asking me what would the child learn from traveling. I said, if you go to school, they tell you don't be racist. But if I grow my child, and he was in Nepal, so he has a friend who's Asian. He went to Africa and has a friend who's Kenyan from, so he has friends. It's not that you're telling him don't be racist. He cannot be racist because he has friends that look so different, and it's just normal for him. It's like, for him, there's no difference, and they just grow with this idea that there's different cultures, different languages, different looking people, and it's okay, so that already is one huge lesson.
Yeah, totally. And also, and this is stupid to say maybe, but just the practical aspect, it is so, like, I see already a lot of friends of mine who are saying, I think I'm not gonna have kids because I can't combine it with my life. And I totally understand. You can't combine it on your own with your life. It's not, I mean, it is possible. A lot of people do, but it's not fun. It's not nice to do it. It's way too much.
It's more fun
so
when
you need community. And
You hit the
this should
nail on the
totally
head.
be the normal
You
way
hit
of
the nail
living.
on the head. A lot of people say this, you know, they don't want to give up their personal freedom just because they want to have a kid.
Yeah.
Um,
They don't need. The only thing you
Mm.
need to do is find a community,
Yes.
and then you don't need to give up your freedom.
Yeah, it's really great to show the practicality of all these. Like you can be a digital nomad at the same time, have a family, and travel with them at the same time.
And we should also not see it that extreme, you know, sometimes also with co-living or digital nomadism. Sometimes people, often they just try it out. They try it out 1 month, 2 months. It's not that extreme like at Coco Hub, 300 people we had and maybe 30 of them were hardcore nomads. The rest was the Polish software developer who has the freedom to travel. And maybe the same will happen with families. The move will not come from the extreme people. It will come from the normal people who try it out, maybe. Like the big movement.
And there's a lot of travelers who started traveling, you know, like later. So now that wave of these travelers having children is coming. It's soon coming, you know. So traveling was growing before COVID, but traveling was growing so much. So now that traveling community, maybe 10% will want to keep this and have the children, and well, that percent is a good 10%. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I see also, like, for example, at our place, I really love to have the combination because you see a lot of part-time nomads or full-time digital nomads, whatever. They are seeing that this is also possible with kids and are learning about these other possibilities, about unschooling, about homeschooling, about all the online resources that there are alternatives. You don't have to use them, but there are, and that it creates more freedom for you to see how you want to go on.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. I think, Loic, no, we should wrap it up because it's 5 o'clock. You have another call.
Like I have to go on another meeting.
But like,
yeah, it was perfect. Like, thank you for this hour of talking.
It's a really, we didn't come to a conclusion. I think no one can come to a conclusion.
But like, I will share this video with a lot of friends because I think like there is a lot of knowledge and a lot of important stuff, not only
and big
about
problems for humans,
nomads or co-living. Yeah. It's about humans' education and alternative ways of thinking, and this is what we need this year. I think we need to think differently, and this is nice. Like when you have feedback from different persons like this about education.
Thank you, guys. So
yeah, this was really awesome. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Inge.
Yeah.
This was a schooling moment for me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You and enjoy the rest of your day. And I will upload this video later to YouTube. Call it Family.
Can I just say one second, one more thing? I just want to thank you, Daniel, for the whole, and Louis for the whole initiative, because for me it's really something that I have lacked a lot the past 5 years, to talk with people who organize these kind of things. So it's like a lot freeing for me to be able to talk with people who want to organize also. So voila. I just wanted to say this, that I really like the initiative.
Nice.
We send you a lot of Coco love.
Of Coco Hub.
Okay, grazie Afna. This means thank you very much in Maltese. And yeah, see you soon.
Ciao.
Yes.
Cool.
Soon.
Ciao.
Yeah.
Ciao. Bye bye.
Ciao.